Barcelona's three captured neighborhoods. Some of these places have never had a tourist in evolutionary history. You're going to be the first. This is James Whalen. I just want to talk about the contrast between the center of Barcelona and the three places that I really love that are full of locals that nobody usually ever finds when they're here visiting. So I've been looking on the internet and I see people recommending Barcelona tourist destinations and making videos. And the sad thing to me is that they're all directing tourists, they're all corralling tourists into the same cattle path type stampede experience there in the center of Barcelona. I call it Barça Disney. And I walk around down there and I think, there's not a lot of parks down here in the center. There are almost no locals that I know of that live here. The place is expensive. And then you turn around and you go out to these other sort of undiscovered areas, these captured neighborhoods, I'm calling them. And the contrast between the two things is amazing. It's literally like time traveling. I've talked about it in the past, but I want to throw three ideas at you for how to easily take a huge swath of the artificiality of the tourist industry here in Barcelona and just throw it away and experience everything that local people do, because you're going to be in a complete environment where local people live. So I call these areas the captured neighborhoods of Barcelona. And the reason why I say that is that these were areas that were independent municipalities. And in the last 150 years, Barcelona has expanded a lot. There was the Eixample neighborhood that grew out, and the city of Barcelona grew out around these neighborhoods, these independent municipalities. And the reason why is that's important is the quaint little streets. The way you build the way you build a Mediterranean or a Spanish city is somebody cooked pasta and then threw it onto some paper. Someone traced that, and that was the floor plan of the city. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little, not really if you've been to Seville, but those quaint little streets are so amazing. And these three locations still have those, and they have them in a way that's much more authentic and real than the center does at this point. The first one you've heard of probably, but the reason you've heard of it is because locals love this place. Locals live there, and this place is, the name of this neighborhood is Gracia. I call it Graceland. It's probably the biggest, most complete of these three neighborhoods. It's easily accessible from the center of Barcelona. You go on the green line up, straight up into the area. You can get off at Fontana, or you can get off before that. Gracia is an interesting neighborhood because local people choose to live there. Local young people want to live there. If you see foreigners in Gracia, they probably live there. It has a really complete neighborhood. It is a really complete neighborhood. There are public spaces. There are about 4 or 5 beautiful plazas. There are play areas for kids. The food places are mostly only set up for local people and neighborhood people. There's an actual nightlife there. It's a destination neighborhood. There's even a music venue, which is not that common in Barcelona. They have a big celebration in August when it gets kind of overrun, the Fiesta Major in August. There's also their winter traditional celebrations like the corralled in January. That's where they play with sparklers and fire. A similar neighborhood to Gracia, something that's probably slower and smaller, is another municipality that was grown up got grown up around and captured, and that's Sarria. This is their gang sign. I joke about that because it's probably the most family-oriented, the slowest, the quietest neighborhood, or one of the quietest in the city limits of Barcelona. This was a neighborhood that was up on a hill. They built a train line out there, and then the city grew up around it. Sarria is smaller than Gracia, but it's definitely good for an afternoon. The center of it is pedestrianized. The main street is Major de Sarria. The main street is full of local shops for local people, even just for neighborhood people. You can move around in there and be just totally in the middle of a neighborhood experience. There's a Barça bar. There are places to eat. It's a great place to spend an afternoon. The train runs from Plaza Catalonia to the Sarria, that's like Sarria metro station, and you just jump out right there, and you're in that old little area. And then the last one that I want to throw out at you is probably the smallest and the least talked about. My local friends might even joke about this, the fact that I'm directing tourists there, but it's a neighborhood that I think is so authentic. It's a neighborhood called Horta. Horta means orchard. This was another municipality that was out up above the city, off in the direction going up the coast a little bit. It's accessible on the metro. You take the blue line to the Horta station. The old area is a little smaller. It's more of just a working class neighborhood, and that's what makes it so authentic. Is that in this neighborhood where nobody's doing anything to make the place presentable or organized or different or somehow special for tourists, it's actually the most touristic, enjoyable, rich experience that you could have. I mean, everything there is what local people there go to the grocery store, buy a newspaper, get a coffee, get a sandwich, talk to somebody, ask them directions. They probably don't speak a lot of English. They're not used to seeing tourists. You're going to be the first one into this place. I've spent a lot of time there. It's a sweet, safe little neighborhood. Up above it is a labyrinth, a maze, a garden maze. It's great for kids. You could probably spend the whole afternoon there. The Laberinto de Horta. It's a labyrinth tree maze that's very well cultivated and beautiful and big. You can get to these places, all of these places, on public transportation. This is James Whalen. There's a lot of other little lost areas that are out there that we could talk about and debate about. I'll probably do some more videos about them. If you have more questions that I can help you with, let me know, because I'm really interested in the contrast in between what you get in the center, where it's almost sometimes difficult to move through the tourists. And then you go out into these other neighborhoods, and it's just so authentic and laid back and relaxed and slow. And I think that that's the experience that people are really looking for, and I'd love to help you find that. I'm giving you specific solutions, quirky fun, folks. Have an amazing time. This is James Whalen. I'll talk to you soon. Adios. Bye-bye.